So that issue is still big on the show today. We want to hear from you. How are you going to manage the family now that schools will reopen in January? What are you going to do? What are the students thinking? My name is Bernard Avila. I'm here with Kojo Boateng and Kokui Salome Hansen. Welcome to the show, people.
Thank you, Bernard. Good morning.
Morning.
Oh, wajim patana.
Yeah. Oh, no, not too far.
Odeya was said
Not too far.
Okay, baby, I'm into.
I think I bet you. Yeah. Nice guy.
One day we should spend time to listen to the song and break it down.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Talk to us.
He said a lot of interesting things. He's like that. Anyhow, so let's just get in. There's a lot of things to talk about this morning. Could we start with the graphic?
Yeah, a lot. All right, daily graphic. Dominance in telecommunications sector. MTN loses case against NCA. And Kotoka International Airport resumes operations. GNPC unable to retrieve 778.6 million Ghana cedis from debtors since 2015. PIAC and Yoko investigate infractions of Petroleum Revenue Management Act. President inaugurates a Mejofe water project, and Yana calls for peace and tolerance ahead of December polls.
GNPC and Mejofe are also on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. Two MPs clash over line of questioning of GNPC officers. This was at a public accounts committee sitting. President inaugurates a Mejofe water supply system. 35 million euro waste management plants to be established in northern region. This is Dr. Siao Ejapong. Wasafiasi chiefs, people demo over reinstatement of paramount chief, and GIFF, that is the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders. They are asking for the government to give them waivers because of the delays in implementing the ICUMS.
All right, the Business and Financial Times. 3 years of waiting for justice. Taxpayers want action. Depositors want their money. And National Occupational Safety and Health Bill languishes in cabinet for 31 years. Also, Access Bank's Perfect Start campaign, okay. GACL, that's the airport company, GCAA, Port Health, to benefit from the $150 US COVID-19 test cost. Dagbon Peace will bring investors to northern region. All right, all those headlines on the front page of Business and Financial Times.
Three of the papers I have has something on Ejapa, but this time the 2011 version. The Finder front page, NDC's Gold Royalty Holding Company targeted $1 billion private capital in 2011. Next, NDC government will abrogate Ejapa agreement. This is the minority leader. President cuts short for phase 3 of water supply project for 5 districts in the Volta region. Coalition launches health manifesto demanding universal coverage by 2030. And state-owned enterprises to enlist on the Ghana Stock Exchange. This is the boss of SIGA.
The Daily Statesman. NDC hypocrisy exposed over Ejapa as it fights NPP for doing what it sought but failed to do. Shun those who promote ethnic sentiments, says President Akufo-Addo. Ochinhene condemns attempt to mar unity between Achim, Abuakwa and Ga State. All right.
Now, the Chronicle. NDC cooked Ejapa deal in 2011. This Ejapa is in quotes. Now, there's a photo of Haruna also on the front page. Ejapa deals things. You will cancel it. GNPC finances cost there at the PAC meeting and 11.5 million euro water system for 183 voter communities.
Okay, the Informer. Attacks on Rawlings weaken NDC foundation, Volta warns. NDC chases NPP over Ejapa deal, vows not to honor its terms. Non-adherence to COVID-19 safety protocols. Akufo-Addo charges law enforcement agencies, and Afenyo Markin exonerated as court slaps Ifutu NDC candidate with 25,000 Ghana cedi defamation.
The Daban area has seen peace over the past few years, and it looks like the peace is here to stay. And the Yana is getting plaudits for peace in Daban. This is on the front page of the Ghanaian Observer. Exposed, NDC introduced Gold Royalties Company deal. President Akufo-Addo petitioned over reinstatement of Wasafiase Paramount Chief. Group endorses Ejapa deal and shun those who promote ethnic sentiment and divisions. President Akufo-Addo.
Ejapa still featured on the front page of the Herald. Minority leader drops majority leader's secrets in Ejapa deal. And Domfas military atrocities traced to army commander. Wow. Scrap extra charges slapped on importers. And Ejapa royalties. Government equalization move with 2010 memo crashes.
The New Crusading Guide has a story that gives me a lot to worry about. NPP scores 0 on climate change mitigation. But on agric, they score 63% on agric and food security, says the CCFS. Government should delay the Japan Minerals Royalty Agreement to allow broader consultation. This is Dr. Phil Echampong. A Japan royalties deal here to stay. Razak Kojopoku and Ablekuma West NPP poised for victory 2020 as it inaugurates campaign team.
All right, the publisher. ICOMS is a killer. Importers are crying on Osafo Mafo over delays. And no nonsense Ursula fires up for victory. Former minister beaten at police station. That's Neil Ante van der Poel.
Terrible.
Yeah. A Japan deal stinks. Minority calls for probe. And man crucified in Kumasi.
Let me give you some headlines you don't have yet on education. CitiNewsroom.com. Engage parents before charging fees for virtual learning. This is Inspectorate Board to schools. Also, CHAS calls for timely distribution of PPEs to second-year SHS students. Now, because you've read most of the stories, I'm just giving you stories you haven't read. If you go to Citi Business News, patronage of nose masks and sanitizers drops as adherence to protocols diminishes. That's a serious one. Meanwhile, Business Development Ministry launches Zongo Business Initiative, also on citybusinessnews.com. Now, there's a very interesting one on my job online. Vengeance is the Lord's. Private school teachers tell Akufo-Addo. Hey, Charlie, vengeance is the Lord.
Vengeance, Paul.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Otini dissociates himself from invasion of Domfase in the Obom Domiabra constituency. That's on myjournalline.com. And if you go to Star News, the other story I haven't read, chaos over Japan deal will scare away investors, according to an economist. All right, so let's get into some of the details of the stories catching your attention.
All right, so dominance in the telecommunications sector, this case that MTN took the NCA to court. Mobile telecommunications giant MTN has lost its legal battle challenging a decision by the National Communications Authority to classify it as a significant market player, or SMP, in the telecommunications industry, a tag that means MTN is the dominant player in the industry. In a ruling yesterday, the commercial division of the Accra High Court held that the NCA did not breach any law throughout the processes that had led to MTN being classified as an SMP. This gives the green light to the NCA to take corrective measures against MTN in order to promote competition and protect other mobile network operators and consumers. As part of the corrective measures, the NCA, among other things, decided to review and approve all charges by MTN, set caps on what MTN can charge for its services, ensure that MTN's access to information did not disadvantage other operators, and impose a 30% interconnect rate for 2 years in favor of other disadvantaged operators. This is big.
That's a very interesting
This is
landmark
big.
case. It will be used for a lot of analysis and future judgments. So watch out for that. So that's in the front page of
Where
the graphic.
should I take you next? Should we do some GNPC and some
Yeah,
Ghana-
GNPC was in Parliament yesterday.
Yes,
a lot
yes,
of issues
yes,
came
yes,
up
yes.
from there.
So the Chronicle says GNPC finances cause stir in Parliament. The Ghanaian Times also is dedicating a big portion of their center spread to that particular story. It says two MPs clash over line of questioning at GNPC's appearance at the park. So let me give you the story from the Times. Now, the story says Chairman of Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, James Klucha-Aveji, yesterday clashed with the Deputy Ranking Member on the committee, Mohamed Hadi Tuferu, over the propriety of questions posed to officers of the Ghana National Petroleum Commission. Now, led by Deputy Chief Executive Officer Joseph Dazi, the GNPC was unable to explain under what circumstances the board approved 5.42 million Ghana cedis and disbursed same to some 6 institutions as part of its corporate social responsibility commitments. According to an October 2019 memo signed by GNPC Board Secretary Mrs. Matilda Ohene, the GNPC approved the request for sponsorship by the Rebecca Foundation, 120,000 cedis. Ochehine's 20th anniversary celebrations, 1.8 million Ghana cedis. Damba Festival, 400,000 Ghana cedis. Ghana Journalists Association, 50,000 Ghana cedis. Ghana Boxing Association, $30,000, and the IOCO, 550,000 Ghana cedis. Asked by the Ningo Prampram MP and member of the committee, Sam George, how the GNPC executes its CSR projects, Mr. Dazi told the committee that CSR obligations are channeled through its foundation. Now, the foundation's mandate, however, he said, covers interventions in the education, environment, and economic empowerment. Now, given the opportunity to respond to the memo, Mrs. Ohene says she only acted upon the instructions of the board.
Okay.
Now, unclear why the board bypassed the foundation to approve the request for sponsorship, which has been classified as CSR, Mr. Aveji pressed further questions regarding funding, and corporate governance structure of the foundation. But the line of questioning of Mr. Aveji was not something that Honorable Mohammed Hadi Tuferu felt was fair. So he interjected, and that began.
All right.
With regard to GNPC,
yeah, they're still in debt and they are thinking of how to
Yes,
pay that money.
Exactly.
I think that's in the graphic.
That is in the graphic, actually, page 16. So the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation is still struggling to recover 778.6 million Ghana cedis owed it by the government and its related agencies since 2015. The amount owed by the government, Ministry of Finance, Tema Oil Refinery, and the Ghana National Gas Company has been sitting on the corporation's books since 2015. There's no clear payment plan by the debtors to clear their indebtedness. Giving details of the indebtedness to the GNPC, Mr. Dazi said that the government owed the corporation 102.5 million. Ministry of Finance, TOR, and Ghana Gas owed 261.1 million and 198.8 million and 216.2 million respectively. The failure of the debtors to redeem their indebtedness has negatively affected the liquidity of the corporation and indicated that there's no immediate plan to recover the money owed the company.
Could you take me to the Japa stories? There are about 7 or 8 different
So
stories.
I'll give you the big story from the Finder, and we'll take one from the Chronicle. NDC's Gold Royalty Holding Company. The Finder says that this was targeted to raise $1 billion in private capital in 2011. Elvis Darko writes that while alleging that Ejapa Minerals Royalties Limited as a plan by the new Patriotic Party government to loot from the states, documents cited by the Finder reveal that the National Democratic Congress government in October 2011 attempted to set up a similar company. The position NDC is kicking against the Japan Minerals royalty deal, claiming the country's mineral resources are being mortgaged through the arrangement. The 2011 budget statement presented to Parliament on November 18, 2010 captured the need for the establishment of what was described as a national vehicle. In a memo to both the Parliamentary Select Committee on Finance and the Parliamentary Select Committee on Energy and Mines, the NDC planned to set up Ghana Gold Company, responsible for all equity being held on behalf of the state. In addition, the government proposed a separate company called Ghana Royalty Holding Company, which will purely be responsible for royalties trade to raise capital from private markets. The proposed Ghana Gold Company seeks to maximize the value of Ghana's carried interest in producing and future gold mines in the country, as well as existing royalties coming to those mines.
Now, there are a few other stories there. Minorities have been saying stuff about what they want to do, and if you can just give me those.
That angle on Ejapa. All right. So this is in the graphic. The minority in parliament has criticized the government over the Ejapa deal, describing it as grossly inimical to the interest and welfare of the country. At a press conference in Accra yesterday, the minority leader, Mr. Haruna Idrisu, said apart from it being a bad deal for the country, Ejapa was a clear case of conflict of interest and a violation of the constitution, which enjoined the government to seek the welfare of the people of the country in all of its endeavors. One of the myriad concerns raised by the minority was what it called the conflict of interest associated with the deal. He said the use of a law firm co-partnered by Mr. Gabi Otridako, a relative of the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the finance minister, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, was a clear case of conflict of interest. Gabi Otridako's law firm advising on this Ejapa deal is similar to the practice of Databank serving as a book runner on government bonds or co-manager of Eurobonds. A key driver of the ballooning public debt under the Akufo-Addo government is the fees earned by the finance minister's company Databank, he also said. And he questioned Mr.
So let me say that
Osafu-Amalfo's
if you want to get a full angle on the Ejapa, I think about 7 newspapers have it. Chronicle has it, Graphic has it, Statesman has it, Herald has it, Daily Guide has it, Finder has it, and it's all on their front pages. So just buy a cup of cocoa and read everything. You get it. Now let's go to education. I have a couple of stories on education for you guys. So engage parents before charging fees for virtual learning. Inspectorate Board to schools. This story says the National Inspectorate Board says all schools are to remain closed, save the category of students that have been permitted to resume. Only second and third year students of JHS and SHS have been allowed to resume school at the pre-tertiary level. Then the NIB, which is the National Inspectorate Board, in a statement advised private school proprietors to engage parents to reach a consensus on fees to be charged for virtual learning. It also noted that the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the Ministry of Communication, has been asked to roll out distance learning programs. Now, there's a statement that they issued, which we will read and elaborate on later. CHAS is also calling for timely distribution of PPEs to second-year students who are to return to school. The Conference of Heads of Assisted Private Schools, Secondary Schools, CHAS, has urged government to ensure the timely supply of personal protective equipment to second-year senior high school students. In an interview with Citi News, the president of CHAS, Yakubu Abubakar, said there were some delays in the distribution of PPEs during the initial resumption of school for final year students. Now, finally, on this one, vengeance is the Lord's. Private school teachers tell Akufo-Addo. This is myjoyonline.com. Now, the Coalition of Private School Teachers Ghana, CPTS, has accused the Akufo-Addo government of denying them a decent livelihood, as well as denying Ghanaian children the right to education. This comes on the back of the president's announcement in his 16th update. In response to the president's statement, the group said, "We reject the reason for denying the Ghanaian children their constitutional right to education for almost 1 year and the right to private school teachers to work to earn decent livelihoods. They bemoan the fact that government considers schools to be unsafe for the Ghanaian child to develop their own careers during a time where active cases in Ghana at the time of the president's address was less than 1,200, and all businesses, including drinking spots, marketplaces, churches, were opened and are doing business." It's a long one. I also have a statement sent to me, sent to our newsroom by a group. It's called a statement from the International Certification Schools. They kick against attempts to regulate school fees. We'll discuss all of this later on in the show.
On that same subject of reopening of schools, and there's a feature in the Publisher attributed to Dr. Clement Apak and his thoughts on all of this. And so he has some questions. What has become of the 10-member school reopening committee inaugurated on August 24th by the Minister of Education to outline safety precautions for the reopening of schools in the pre-tertiary subsector? Which relevant stakeholders were consulted, as the president claims, even if via the Ghana Education Service? And what plans have been activated to ensure timely fumigation and supply of adequate PPE? So there's a whole article. Pick up the Publisher to read more about Dr. Apak's
Now, Bernard, do you remember the day we looked at the state enterprises report?
Yes.
Yes. Now, state-owned enterprises are going to be enlisted on the Ghana Stock Exchange. This is according to the boss of SIGA. And this is to ensure that they run properly. And Ghanaians also participate in owning them. Now, the story says plans have been developed to enlist some state-owned enterprises under the State Interest and Governance Authority on the Ghana Stock Exchange to afford Ghanaians the opportunity to own shares in these institutions. According to the Director General of SIGA, Stephen Asamoah Boateng, who made a disclosure, the move is intended to create wealth for all Ghanaians and also to have a say because they can now own shares in the state enterprises which will be listed on the stock exchange. Mr. Asamoah Boateng, who hinted this when the authority began deliberations with the GSC, has notified them of its intention to offload some of the state enterprises onto the stock exchange. We do not know which companies yet, but we'll follow this particular
All right, now,
story.
presidents in the Volta region, he commissioned a water supply system at Amejofe. Now, this is the GNA. The project is $3.7 million, a pipe water supply system at Amejofe in the Volta region. Now, the system, the 5 pipe water supply systems under the Water Supply Improvement Project of the Ghana-Spain Debt Swap Development Program was being implemented in Ho and in 3 districts in the region, namely Ho West, Agoti Meziofe, and Adakluanyigbe. All right,
Now,
let's
talking
go into
about
more
water
stories.
and climate change. You know, this week we read a story from the Volta region where rice farmers are suffering.
Yep.
Now, yesterday I saw 2 farmers I know in the Volta region who are into vegetables and other things, also saying that if it doesn't rain, they are going to lose.
So what's happening with this rain matter?
Yes, if it doesn't rain, they are going to lose their crop. Now, page 3 of the new Crusading Guide, NPP scores 0 on climate change mitigation. This is according to an NGO, Center for Climate Change and Food Security. They've scored the governing NPP's manifesto 0% on climate change mitigation. The center says it has found no mention at all of the term climate change in the manifesto, which was launched on August 22, 2020. And this is not right because the Paris Accord enjoins countries to take steps to combat
Now,
climate change.
PPEs are also in focus on City Business News. Patronage of nose masks and sanitizers drops as adherence to protocols diminishes. Story by Ellen Dapa that Ghana's COVID-19 update as of August 30 showed a drop in number of active cases. But a recent survey conducted by the Ghana Health Service showed that only 14.4% of the population in Greater Accra wear face masks. Another survey had disclosed that 82% of the sample population possessed the mask, with only 44% using them correctly. Now, the recent trends are in effect taking a toll on the patronage of face masks and hand sanitizers, which were in high demand in March, April, and sometime in May. Some dealers in the products have been talking to Citi News about the decline in sales. Those who went to buy it, boom, now you don't know what to do
and
with it.
charged high prices for them.
The face shield, I think somebody sold me a face shield for, is it what?
50 cedis.
Yeah, initially, because Charlie, I need to Charlie, I go buy like 10. Hey, same way this Canada.
If you got a child who is under 5 years old, then pay attention. Polio immunization starts September 10th in 8 regions. So the Ghana Health Service will immunize children under 5 years old against polio from September 10th to 13th. A second round will be conducted from October 8th to 11th, with both exercises targeted at children in 179 districts in 8 regions.
Wow.
This is a sequel to what the GHS started in July and August last year, following the detection of type 2 of the polio virus in some children and in environmental sewage. So Greater Accra, Central, Eastern, Western, Western North, Volta, Ashanti, and Upper West are the regions that are going to be targeted.
Finally, Kojo.
Finally, Juju fails 8 celebrants at the fire festival.
Oh.
It happened in the Mion district of the northern region.
What happened?
They thought they had enough Juju. So, sometimes they
eat
take the
fire.
Juju and then they start cutting themselves with
Ever to fire service, yeah.
Charlie, the person, they started cutting and the skin was...
The thing they cut. Jesus. That was the newspaper review. What paper is that?
This is the Ghanaian Times, page 3.
Charlie. Into me spell, I'm sure.
This is the